You know that feeling when someone gives you a totally weird look from across the room? Like maybe you were just squinting trying to read a sign, but you ended up looking like you were glaring at a complete stranger. If that's you, hey, don't sweat it. They're probably not mad, you just have that eyesight. Welcome to today's explainer. We're jumping right into a really common question. Do eye exercises actually work? We're going to dive into one creator's 30-day experiment and really look at the root of this whole problem. To understand the problem, look at this number. 93%. According to the EPA, that is the massive amount of time the average American spends inside. I mean, we are quite literally an indoor species now. And look, while being indoors is super comfortable, it definitely comes with a severe biological cost to our vision. Because of all this indoor time, the creator of our source experiment uses this brilliant metaphor. They call it putting our eyes in a cage. Think about it for a sec. The average room is, less than 20 square meters? When we spend our entire lives surrounded by walls that are constantly just a few feet away, we're severely restricting our visual field. Our eyes actually evolved to scan these vast open horizons, but modern life essentially traps them in tiny, predictable little boxes. So this cage has created what our source calls the three modern eyesight killers. We just talked about spending all our time indoors, right? But add to that the electronic devices we're glued to 24/7. When we stare at our smartphones and computers for hours on end, we're training our eyes to just get used to that one single specific distance. It is literally like trying to build muscle by lifting the exact same light weights forever, and then being totally shocked when you can't lift something heavier. And finally, there's the third killer, which is a lack of proper eye movement. This third point builds into a really fascinating problem. I actually want you to think about this right now. When was the very last time you looked at something without moving your head in that exact same direction? Seriously, try to remember. We almost always turn our necks to look at things rather than just panning our eyes independently. And our creator shares a really funny, relatable anecdote about why we do this. They point out that if you just dart your eyes around the room without moving your head, well, you would look like a creep. It's just socially awkward. But physically, this lack of independent movement is devastating. Without movement, there is significantly less blood flow to the eyes. And basic biology tells us that any body part that isn't well perfused with blood is for sure going to degenerate over time. Which brings us to the actual subject of our experiment today. Let's look at the creator's baseline. This is someone who has struggled with their vision for a long, long time. I mean, at 17, they actually failed their driving test vision exam. They're practically blind in their left eye and 43% blind in their right eye. And the kicker? They absolutely hate wearing glasses, and expensive laser eye surgery just isn't in the budget. So they really had no other option but to try and take matters into their own hands. That sets the undeniable starting line for this whole scientific journey. Before beginning any of the exercises, the creator's baseline test read -2.0 diopters in both eyes. That's the measurement of the lens power needed to correct their blurry vision. This is the hard data we need to measure against to see if these exercises are actually a myth or, a miracle. The intervention, the 30-day eye challenge. And honestly, the best part here is that this daily training routine only requires about 10 minutes of effort. The workout itself is broken down into 4 pretty simple steps. Step 1 is just blinking. You blink normally for 30 seconds and then intensely for another 30 seconds. This basically acts as a warm-up, oxygenating and moistening the eyes. Step 2 flips our bad habits upside down. You focus your eyes on a single object in front of you and move your head left and right as far as you can without letting your eyes leave that object. It should actually feel a little exhausting. Step 3 is the reverse. Keep your head perfectly still and move only your eyes in various patterns. And finally, step 4 is recovery, just closing the eyes for a 5-second countdown to rest. Let's zoom in on step 3 for a second. Specifically, this exercise the creator calls scratching the fence. I actually challenge you to try this with me right now. Ready? Keep your head perfectly straight and still. Now, look up toward the ceiling as far as you possibly can. While holding that upward gaze, move your eyes to the left and then to the right. You can feel that, right? That is the literal feeling of neglected muscles finally doing some work. But hey, before you go aggressively rolling your eyes all around the room, there's a really vital caveat. The golden rule of this 30-day challenge is stretch, don't strain. The goal here is just to create a little, gentle stretch in your eye muscles. If you start to feel actual pain or deep discomfort, you're definitely pushing too hard. It's all about consistency and blood flow, not brute force. Alongside those physical exercises, the creator utilized a bit of a secret tool during the 30 days: pinhole glasses. These are exactly what they sound like: glasses with dark lenses filled with tiny little holes. They're incredibly cheap, but wearing them for just 10 minutes a day has this totally fascinating effect. By restricting the light entering the eye, they forced the eye to focus differently, which allowed the creator to suddenly read tiny, distant letters that were just a blur before. And the wildest part, the creator noted that this clear vision effect actually seemed to linger even after taking the glasses off. The result? Return to the optician. So, after 30 days of this 10-minute routine, it was time to see if it actually did anything. And the final results honestly shocked our creator. Day 1, as we saw earlier, was a solid negative 2.0 diopters. But on day 30, the optician's reading came back at negative 1.75 diopters on both sides. That is a concrete, measurable improvement of 0.25 points in just one single month. And this wasn't just some number on a medical chart. The creator enthusiastically noted a real subjective difference too, reporting that they could suddenly see details in their daily life with way more clarity than before. The world just simply looked sharper. So, what does this all mean for us? Impartially, while this 10-minute routine probably isn't some magical instant cure, it is highly effective at relaxing the eyes. The overarching lessons from our source are super clear. Spend more time outside to break out of that 20 square meter visual cage. Move your eyes properly and independently of your head to increase that vital blood flow. And above all else, consistency is key. Which brings us to the end of our explainer today, and it leaves us with one incredibly important question to consider about our own daily habits. Look at the screens you've been staring at. Look at the walls around you. Are you ready to take your eyes out of their cage? Start stretching those muscles, get some fresh air, and maybe, just maybe, you'll start seeing the world a whole lot clearer. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive, and as always, keep learning.